You stopped texting her. She stopped texting you. Now it's been days of complete silence, and you're sitting there wondering who's supposed to text first? Who's winning this standoff? And the longer the silence goes, the more you're stuck in your head about it. But here's the question you're not asking. What if she's sitting there wondering the exact same thing? What if both of you are waiting for the other person to break? But the real test isn't what you think it is. Because here's what most men miss. When both of you go quiet, there's something happening beneath the surface that has nothing to do with who texts first. She's processing this silence in a way that's completely different from what you're assuming. And what she's concluding right now is going to determine everything. This video reveals what's actually going through her mind during mutual silence, the signs that tell you if she's testing you or done with you, and exactly how to navigate this without looking desperate or losing her respect. By the end, you'll understand what she's really waiting for. Now, before we go deeper, let me be clear about something. This video isn't about playing games or manipulating anyone. It's not about trying to win some imaginary competition. This is about understanding the psychological reality of what happens when two people both go silent, so you can make informed decisions instead of operating from confusion and anxiety. Here's what most dating advice won't tell you. Mutual silence creates a completely different dynamic than one-sided no contact. When you stop reaching out and she also stops reaching out, you're not in a stalemate. You're in a psychological pressure test that reveals the truth about where you both stand. And most men completely misread what's actually happening. So let's break down exactly what's going on beneath the surface when both of you go quiet. Stage 3. Problem amplification. Here's the problem. When both of you stop talking, most men interpret it through their own lens. They think, I went silent to show I'm not desperate. She should text me if she cares. But they're forgetting something critical. She's interpreting the same silence through her lens, and her interpretation is likely the exact opposite of what you think it is. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you checked your phone? How many times today have you wondered if you should just send a casual text? If you're honest, the silence is driving you crazy. But here's what you're missing. It's doing the same thing to her, just in a completely different way. Here's why mutual silence is so psychologically intense. When you go silent after she shows lower interest, you're enforcing a boundary. That's healthy. But when she also goes silent in response, one of two psychological processes is happening. Either she's testing your frame to see if you'll crack first and chase her, which means she's still invested enough to care about your response, or she's already detached and your silence is just confirming what she already decided, that this wasn't worth her energy. Most men can't tell which one it is, so they do one of two things. They either break first and text something casual like, hey, how have you been? Which immediately kills any power they had. Or they stay silent out of pride but internally spiral into anxiety, checking their phone constantly, stalking her social media, and driving themselves crazy. Both responses come from the same place. They don't understand what she's actually experiencing during this silence. And that lack of understanding causes them to either lose the game by texting first or lose their peace by obsessing over it. Stage 4. Content Preview Roadmap. So here's what we're going to cover. In the next 5 sections, I'm going to show you exactly how to read this situation and what to do about it. 1. The exact psychology she's experiencing during mutual silence, what's actually going through her mind right now. 2. 5 specific signs that reveal whether she's thinking about you or genuinely done. 3. Why mutual silence is actually a more powerful position than one-sided no contact, and how the power dynamic flips. 4. The precise decision framework for when to keep waiting, when to break silence, and when to walk away completely. And 5. How to position yourself strategically so that if you do reach out, you maintain your power and don't look desperate. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand and what to do next. You'll stop guessing, stop second-guessing yourself, and you'll have a clear path forward, whether that's winning her back or moving on with your dignity intact. Let's get into it. Section 1. The psychology behind mutual silence. First, let's understand what's actually happening psychologically when both of you go silent. When you stopped reaching out, you enforced a boundary. You decided, consciously or not, that you weren't going to chase someone showing lower interest. That's healthy. But when she also doesn't reach out, that's where the real psychology kicks in. Here's what you need to understand. Silence isn't passive, it's active communication. And what it communicates depends entirely on the context before the silence started. If she was highly invested before things went quiet, her silence now is likely a test. She's waiting to see if you'll break, if you'll come crawling back, if you can hold your frame. Women do this not out of malice, but out of biological wiring. They need to know if you're the kind of man who stays grounded under pressure or crumbles when you don't get immediate validation. But if she was already pulling back before the mutual silence started, her silence now means something completely different. It's not a test, it's confirmation. In her mind, your silence is proving what she already suspected, that you weren't that interested either. So she's taking it as a mutual fade-out, a quiet agreement that this wasn't working. She's not thinking about you obsessively. She's moved on emotionally, even if she hasn't moved on physically yet. Now here's where it gets psychologically complex. You can't know which scenario you're in based on the silence alone, because in both cases, the external behavior is identical. She's not texting you. The silence looks the same. But the internal experience is radically different. In one scenario, she's thinking about you constantly, checking her phone, wondering if you'll reach out. In the other, she's already detached and your absence barely registers. And here's the kicker. The longer the silence goes, the more it amplifies whichever psychological state she's in. If she's testing you, every day you don't break makes you more valuable in her eyes. You're demonstrating strength, self-control, and outcome independence. But if she's already detached, every day of silence just reinforces her decision. She's not sitting there missing you. She's confirming to herself that she made the right call letting this fade. So the psychology of mutual silence is this. It's a magnifier. It doesn't create feelings. It amplifies what was already there. If there was genuine attraction and connection underneath, the silence builds tension and increases desire. If the foundation was weak or already crumbling, the silence accelerates the end. But here's what most men don't realize. While you're sitting there analyzing whether to text or not, she's going through her own psychological process, and that process is telling you everything you need to know if you know how to read the signs. So how do you read the signs? Here are 5 indicators that reveal whether she's testing you or genuinely done sign 1. Social media activity. If she's viewing your stories but not reaching out, that's a test. She's keeping tabs without breaking silence, but if she's stopped viewing your content completely or posting like you never existed, that's confirmation. She's not thinking about you enough to check sign 2, indirect communication. If she's asking mutual friends about you or finding subtle ways to ensure you hear about her, she's testing information is still flowing between you. But complete radio silence across all channels, no friend check-ins, no breadcrumbs, means she's likely moved on mentally. Sign 3. Timing of her silence. Did she go quiet immediately after you stopped reaching out? That's usually a test. It's reactive. Let's see if he breaks first. But if she took days of gradually cooling communication before mutual silence, she was already pulling back. Your silence didn't create hers. It made it official. Sign 4. Her last communication tone. Check her final messages before silence. Warm, engaged, affectionate, suddenly going quiet? Probably a test. But if her last messages were already short, cold, low effort with long response times, her silence now is just continuation of the fade she's confirming, not testing. Sign 5. Context before silence. Was there a specific incident, disagreement, moment you didn't give validation she wanted? If yes, and she was otherwise invested, this is probably a test. She's waiting for your response. But if there was no incident, and she was just gradually becoming less available and enthusiastic, her silence isn't a test, it's an exit. Here's the brutal truth. Be honest about what you're seeing. Most men find one indicator supporting, "she's testing me," and ignore 4 screaming, "she's done." If 3 or more signs point to confirmation, you're not in a test. You're in a fade out. The question becomes, do you want someone who already decided you're not worth her energy? But if signs point to testing, here's what you need to understand about why that's actually a stronger position than you think. Here's why mutual silence, when done right, is more powerful than one-sided no contact. When you go silent alone and she's still texting, she knows she has your attention. She's in control. Your silence doesn't create real tension because she can break at any time, and she knows you'll probably respond. The power imbalance is clear. She's the prize, you're the pursuer. But when both of you are silent, the dynamic shifts. She can't just text and assume you'll jump. She doesn't know if you've moved on, if you're seeing someone else, if you care. For the first time, there's genuine uncertainty on her end, and uncertainty creates desire. The psychological principle, whoever cares less controls the frame. In mutual silence, it becomes unclear who cares less. That ambiguity is powerful. She can't assume you're waiting. For all she knows, you've moved on, and she's just someone you used to talk to. This creates loss aversion. When she went silent thinking you'd break first, she operated from abundance. I have options, he'll chase. But when you stay silent, that cracks. Suddenly, wait, what if he doesn't care? What if I'm losing someone valuable? That shift from abundance to scarcity is the power reversal. Most men think mutual silence means playing games. It's not. It's having standards. If she shows low interest and you chase, you're teaching her, your attention is cheap. But if you match her energy and step back when she steps back, you're demonstrating your time has value. That's not a game. That's self-respect. The difference between he's chasing and he chose his peace is massive. Chasing after her silence looks desperate. Mirroring her energy looks self-sufficient, and self-sufficient men are far more attractive. But critical part, this only works if you're genuinely okay with either outcome. If you're anxiously waiting, checking your phone every 5 minutes, you're not in a power position. You're in anxiety. The power comes from truly being at peace with silence, genuinely focusing on your life, actually being okay if she never texts. That authentic indifference is what she senses, and what shifts the dynamic. Mutual silence isn't about winning a standoff. It's demonstrating you value yourself enough to not chase uncertainty. And that demonstration is infinitely more powerful than any words you could text. So here's the framework: when to keep waiting, when to break silence, and when to walk away completely. First, when to keep waiting. If the signs from Section 2 point to testing and it's been less than a week, wait. This is where most men break too early out of anxiety. A few days of silence isn't long enough to conclude anything. She might be genuinely busy, processing, or yes, testing your patience. If her pre-silence behavior showed investment, give it at least 5 to 7 days before making any moves. But here's the key: waiting doesn't mean obsessing. Waiting means living your life while being genuinely okay if she never texts. The moment you're anxiously checking your phone, you've already lost the mental game, even if you haven't texted yet. Now, when to break silence. If it's been 7 to 14 days, the signs pointed to testing rather than fade out, and you want to give it one shot, here's how: don't apologize. Don't explain. Don't ask, "Are you okay?" or "I miss you." All of that reeks of insecurity. Instead, reach out with something casual, value-adding, and outcome-independent. Saw this and thought of you with something genuinely relevant, or a simple, How's your week going? No pressure, no neediness, just a low investment reconnection attempt. If she responds warmly, re-engage gradually. Don't immediately jump back into constant texting. Match her energy, stay slightly less invested than she is, and let things rebuild naturally. If she responds coldly or doesn't respond at all, you have your answer. Don't double text. Don't chase harder. Accept the response and move forward. When to walk away completely. If it's been more than 2 weeks with zero contact and the signs pointed to fade out from the beginning, it's over. She's not thinking about you. She's not waiting for you to reach out. She's moved on. And you sitting in silence hoping she'll come back is just delaying your own healing. Walk away mentally and emotionally. Delete the thread if you need to. Unfollow her on social media if it helps. Give yourself permission to move on. Also, walk away if you do break silence and she either doesn't respond or responds with bare minimum effort. One attempt is all you should give. If she wanted to be in your life, she'd make it clear. Uncertainty is a no. Confusion is a no. Anything less than genuine enthusiasm is a no. The decision framework is simple. Test signs plus under a week equals wait. Test signs plus 1 to 2 weeks equals 1 low investment reach out. Fade out signs plus any time frame equals walk. Reached out and got nothing. Or coldness equals walk immediately. But regardless of what you decide, your positioning matters more than your actions. Which brings us to the final piece. Here's what positioning means. It's not what you do or say, it's the energy you carry and frame you hold. The worst thing during mutual silence, operating from scarcity. Scarcity says, I hope she texts. I hope she still likes me. I hope I didn't mess up. That energy seeps through everything. Your online presence, how you carry yourself, how you talk to mutual friends. Scarcity is unattractive because it communicates low value. Abundance is the opposite. I'm good either way. If she reaches out, great. If not, I'm focusing on my life. That energy is magnetic because it communicates high value. Paradox. The less you need her validation, the more likely you get it. But abundance can't be faked. You can't post gym selfies while internally checking your phone every 10 minutes. Women sense inauthenticity immediately. Real abundance comes from actually investing in yourself. Goals, hobbies, social life, purpose. From genuinely building a fulfilling life with or without her. During mutual silence, your focus shouldn't be on her. It should be on you. What are you improving? Building. What makes you more valuable than when things went quiet? If you reach out or she does, you should be in a better position than when silence started. That demonstrates growth, not stagnation. Social media matters, not to make her jealous, but because your digital footprint reflects reality. Posts screaming, I'm sad thinking about you, equals desperation. Posts showing you living well, being social, pursuing interests equals attractive. Don't manufacture fakeness, but showcase the best version of your actual life. If she does reach out, receive her warmly but not desperately. Don't immediately pour emotion. Don't act like her text made your week. Respond with energy of someone glad to hear from her but whose life wasn't on pause. That balanced warmth without neediness maintains attraction. The identity shift? You're not the guy hoping she comes back. You're the guy who's good either way. That shift removes anxiety, removes neediness, and ironically makes you significantly more attractive. To her and any woman who enters your life during this time, real truth. If she comes back, it should be a bonus, not a rescue. Your happiness, peace, value, none should depend on whether she reaches out. The moment you fully believe that, you've won, regardless of whether she texts. Now, here's something uncomfortable that needs to be said. If mutual silence is easy for her, if she can go weeks without reaching out and it doesn't bother her, she was never that invested. If you have to play silence games to generate interest, the interest was never genuine. Here's the controversial truth. Sometimes mutual silence isn't a test. It's the relationship showing it wasn't built to survive past initial attraction. If she can easily walk away from silence, she wasn't as invested as you thought. That's not failure. That's information. A woman who genuinely values you doesn't need strategic silence to reach out. She doesn't need games to realize what she's losing. She doesn't sit comfortably in mutual silence for weeks. A woman truly invested will break silence herself if the connection is worth saving. If she doesn't, it wasn't strong enough. I know that sounds harsh, but this isn't about giving up. It's understanding the difference between someone testing your frame because they care and someone comfortable letting you fade because they don't. Treating them the same is how men waste months on connections already dead. This is empowering. Stop investing energy into people who aren't investing back. Stop analyzing silence trying to find hope where there isn't any. Focus on people who actually value your presence. People for whom your silence would be unbearable, not convenient. Ask yourself, if she's been comfortable in mutual silence for 2+ weeks, was she ever that into you? What if you only pursued women whose actions matched their words? What if you stopped chasing uncertainty and recognized certainty? That shift separates men stuck in situationships from men building real relationships with women who actually want them. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in this exact situation? Both of you stopped reaching out? How long did the silence last? Did she eventually break first? Did you reach out? Or did it just end there? And looking back now, what do you wish you'd known at the time? Drop your experience in the comments below. I read every single one because this channel isn't just about me talking at you. It's about us learning from each other's experiences. If you're currently dealing with this mutual silence situation right now, tell me where you're at. I'll give you my honest take based on what you're describing. Because this isn't just about one girl who went silent. This is about you learning to recognize your own value and not chasing people who are uncertain about you. It's about becoming the kind of man who can walk away from confusion and toward genuine connection. That's what we're building here. Men who choose peace over pursuit, self-respect over games, and certainty over maybe. Remember, your silence should come from self-respect, not from strategy. You're not playing a game. You're living by standards. And a man with standards doesn't chase someone who's lukewarm about him. He focuses his energy on people who are clear about wanting him in their life. That clarity, that's what separates the men who waste years in situationships from the men who build real relationships with women who genuinely value them. Stay grounded.